Hey friends, so have you ever heard the term schadenfreude? It is a word that has German origins, and while you generally hear it most often in the theater world, I like to use it as much as possible because it's a pretty underrated word, in my opinion. Not sure if there's an English equivalent to it, maybe epicaracy, but schadenfreude is way more fun to say, so we're going to stick with that. Anyway, in case you aren't familiar, it basically means finding joy in someone else's misfortune or struggle. It's something that you most commonly feel when someone who you don't like or perceive as bad has something happen to them that might cause them suffering. It's also the way you tend to feel when you see someone who has wronged you finally get karmic retribution. I know, all of this sounds like it's not nice to do. Feeling it can sometimes make you feel like a bad person, too. But you know what? That's not true. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a normal person. I mean, look, let's get real here. People always tell you that you should take the high road, blah, 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 and generally you should. However, some people don't really give a rat's ass about what they did or how they made you feel or what emotional fallout you had to deal with until they are served a big old helping of what they dished out. Until karma comes and knocks on their door to let them know that their abhorrent behavior didn't go unnoticed and it will not go unpaid either. Now, I know, I talk about forgiveness a lot on this channel, and that still stands. I do believe in it, and I practice it often. Hell, I've practiced it in situations where the person disrespected me so deeply that they didn't really deserve forgiveness, per se. But if you've watched this channel for a while, you may recall that whenever I talk about forgiveness, I also say this. It is not a free pass. It does not erase the fact that what the person did was still wrong, and it's not something you do for that person anyway. You do it for you, so that their BS doesn't keep weighing you down. With that said, how this all relates to the subject of this video is this. There are some situations where you just have to disconnect from someone after they have wronged you. You have to cancel your subscription to their newsletter, so to speak. You go what mental health professionals often call no contact. And this is something that people on both sides often have confusing feelings about. They feel like it's some kind of retaliation or an attempt to make the person who wronged you feel some kind of way, like guilty or like they're being punished. And the people on the other side might say it's immature and not the right way to handle conflict. I'm here to tell you that all of that is kind of misguided and most of it is not true. First, when you disconnect from someone, chances are high that they may not even care. So, as a punishment, it's not very effective. Truth be told, I have personally disconnected from a relatively few number of people in my life, and I've only done so when what they did betrayed me so deeply that I just could no longer trust them at all. But a long time ago, I did disconnect from someone who, well, deserved zero of my time or attention. I told them that I was doing it, which is not something I would normally do either. I mean, if I cut someone off, they're going to know why, because, as they say, they shoved the scissors in my hand. Anyway, years later, and I mean 4 or 5 years later, they asked a mutual friend for an update on me, and the mutual friend gave it, at which point, I guess the person I cut off didn't like it, because they told the mutual friend that they never wanted to speak to me again. All I could do was laugh, because I guess they forgot that I had told them in a somewhat polite way to F off years prior. So them making this statement was toothless, because if someone out there cared about it, it certainly wasn't me. Anyway, all this to say that sometimes I think going no contact gets a bad rap, so I want to open up the conversation here about why it shouldn't at all. It's actually a really healthy way sometimes of processing your emotions and healing without having the influence of that person hanging over your head like a ghost. Space is a good thing, friends, especially when whatever fractured between you and that person was serious or long-term. In fact, it's what you should do. Because, listen, the more you keep someone around, so to speak, the more difficult it is to forget about them. Which sounds callous, I know, but it's the truth. It's also a lot more difficult to forget about what they did. I say forget in air quotes because you aren't going to actually forget. Most of the time, when someone hurts you, you don't forget. But it changes the nature of your relationship forever, and that's just the fact. However, time and distance from the situation or the person, healing and working on processing your emotions about it does help in dulling that raw nerve in most situations. It isn't forgotten, but it isn't right here 24/7 either. Another thing that going no contact helps with tremendously is that you can drop the charade that what happened didn't happen. Ignoring your own feelings, which are perfectly valid, denies your need to express them. Your feelings are your feelings, and there's nobody that can tell you that you are wrong for feeling them. If those feelings are sadness or anger at someone, then that's what they are, and you're entitled to that. They have no right to be upset at you for feeling that way. I mean, look, they weren't worried about your feelings when they betrayed your trust or when they hurt you. So it's a little late in the game to be concerned about it now when things have been said and done. There are plenty of people out there who will try to invalidate your feelings or make you feel like you're wrong for feeling them. But one of those people should never be you. When I say going no contact, by the way, I want to make clear what that means because it goes beyond just closing off all of their access to you. You have to do your part too. And here's where the message that this video is about, comes in. Stop actively checking on those people. You don't need to know how they're doing. If people give you unsolicited updates, ask them to please stop. There is nothing wrong with being curious about someone from the past. Curiosity is a normal human emotion too. But when this kind of activity becomes a roadblock in your healing journey and it's keeping you stuck in a negative cycle of events or emotions, then it's on you to remove that from your path. This sounds easy to do, but believe me when I say that I know it isn't easy. But when you do it, and I mean really do it, you find that you upset yourself a lot less, and in turn, you're able to put your focus into much more healthy spaces. By the way, there are no steadfast rules for going no contact with someone per se. It is a case-by-case thing, and you do what is comfortable for you and is healthiest. Sometimes that may mean going scorched earth, and sometimes it doesn't. You also have to remember that it's not so much an act as it is a process. You will have weak moments or times where you'll have the phone in your hand, ready to text that person, even though you know you absolutely should not. When you open up the Facebook and you go right to their profile just to take a little peek, this is human too. But keep in mind that when those moments come, you should use them as an opportunity to grow past them. Do not let them be a derailment or you're only setting yourself back. But, and this is a big but, while there are no real rules for no contact, there are two things that are universally true about this process that you must keep in mind. Number one, you must do what is best for you, not them, first and foremost. Figure out what is going to help best get you moving on and healing, and step back from the things that are triggering. This is a huge step in taking back control of your emotions and in turn, your life as a whole. Focus on getting back and appreciating the things you may have lost during the course of that relationship that ended. Basically, figure out how to be you again in the healthiest way possible without toxic influences impacting that. And 2, you must stop feeling guilty about all of that. There is nothing wrong with needing space and asserting boundaries, or keeping our proverbial electric fence on when someone has wronged you. And if they don't like it or get upset about it, then, well, so be it. And listen, if they hurt you, they lost their position on your list of priorities. Sorry, not sorry. Speaking bluntly for a moment, if they aren't sorry for hurting you, you shouldn't feel guilty for cutting them off. You have the right to protect yourself against people who are toxic to you, even if they are family or people you have known for a long time. As I have often said here on this channel, if people want you to think and speak about them favorably, then they should act better. It really is that simple. Don't let people guilt you into allowing them to come back into your life if you are not ready for that or you don't want that. It's okay not to want that, by the way. Remember that even if you forgave them, reconnection is a whole other thing, and it is not a requirement. When all has been said and all has been done, you are not responsible for rebuilding a bond that you didn't break. If their idea of rebuilding was a half-hearted sorry and a let's just forget it all happened and let's go back to the way things were before, sorry to say, but that person doesn't care enough about that bond to do the real work, because that ain't it. In those cases, it's best to leave those ashes behind and keep walking. Friends, despite its myths and bad rap, going no contact is really an effective way to heal from painful situations. And it teaches you some things too that you might not even have been trying to learn, but you will definitely value later on when you had some space from the situation. When a connection to someone that you care about is ruptured, it can give you some clarity on what that relationship truly meant to you. Sometimes you'll realize that it wasn't really as healthy as you thought it was anyway. Whatever the case, you may miss them, and that is natural. But when you feel at peace without them, when you feel that peace in here, when you feel relief that they aren't around, well, there's no need to go back and keep rereading those pages in the book that is your life. Words do not change once they have already been written. That is a powerful message that chapter probably needs to come to a close. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll be back next week with another priority message. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye.